Imagine being trapped underwater with almost zero visibility, your air supply running out, and your friend lost somewhere in the darkness. You can't find your way back. This is the terrifying story of two divers, Carlo Basso and Carlo Barbieri, who ventured into an uncharted tunnel ignoring the ominous warning sign. Under the warm sunshine of the Dominican Republic, two friends prepared for an adventure. Carlo Basso and Carlo Barbieri were passionate about diving and had done it countless times before. Basso, 44, was a diving instructor from Italy, enjoying a much-needed vacation to explore new waters. Barbieri, who had lived in the Dominican Republic for years, was well acquainted with the area. Both men were confident in their skills. Basso's life had taken many turns. He once played American football for the Venice Islanders in Italy. Now, he had 2 children and ran a diving business. This trip was his first real break in a long time, and he was determined to savor every moment. Barbieri, familiar with all the local diving spots, was eager to show his friend the wonders beneath the calm surface. Neither of them could have imagined that this dive would change everything. The day was February 11th, 2023. The sun was shining and the water looked calm. It seemed like a perfect day for diving. Basso and Barbieri decided to explore El Dudu Lake located in the Maria Trinidad Sanchez province. They had heard amazing things about it. From above, it looks beautiful and peaceful. The water is clear and blue. But under the surface, it's a different world. The lake hides a huge underwater cave system with some passages still unexplored and unknown. The cave stretches over 2,300 feet underwater and reaches a depth of 65 feet. It twists and turns in all directions, making it easy for even experienced divers to become disoriented. The first section of the lake is known as the cavern area, where divers can explore a beautiful underwater world illuminated by natural light. This area is relatively safe, making it a popular choice for beginner divers. At the bottom of the cavern lies the main tunnel, notorious for its complexity and treacherous underwater routes. Warning signs are prominently placed before the entrance to caution divers against entering. The tunnel is adorned with dark, tannic-stained formations, including a towering column over 49 feet high. At the end of this tunnel, there's an air pocket to the left, offering breathable air but no exit to the outside. To the right, the cave continues, eventually opening up into the cave zone. After about 45 minutes of swimming, you'll reach the end of the line, which leads to another entrance known as Lily's Cave. However, before reaching this point, divers must pass by a narrow, nameless passage. This passage remains uncharted and is believed to be a dead end, and this is where our story begins. At 5 p.m. on that Saturday, Basso and Barbieri began their dive, excitement bubbling within them as they slipped into the water. The lake's surface was calm, betraying none of the dangers lurking beneath. After a final gear check and a reassuring thumbs up to each other, they disappeared below the surface. Initially, everything seemed perfect as they explored the cavern area. They descended toward the main tunnel, where the darkness thickened more than they had anticipated. The warning sign, large and unmistakable at the entrance, likely caught their attention. However, confident in their experience, they chose to push further. Their powerful flashlights pierced through the murk, revealing stunning rock formations and strange, pale fish that added to the eerie beauty of their surroundings. As they entered the cave zone, a thrill of excitement coursed through them. It was like stepping into another world, a realm few had ever witnessed. They marveled at the sights, experiencing the awe of the unknown. But soon, things began to unravel. The reason they ventured into the narrow, claustrophobic tunnel, barely 2.3 feet high, remains a mystery to this day. Perhaps they hoped to discover that it wasn't a dead end, or maybe they simply lost their way. Inside the passage, the twisting and turning became relentless. The tunnel narrowed further, and their air tanks scraped against the jagged walls. In the cramped space, a slight misstep sent a cloud of fine mud swirling upward. Suddenly, their visibility was reduced to almost nothing. The beams from their flashlights only made the water appear milky, further disorienting them. Panic began to set in. Basso struggled to remain calm, knowing that fear could be deadly in such a situation. But it was difficult. The cave walls seemed to close in around them, the darkness pressing against them from all sides. They soon reached a point where there was barely enough room to move without damaging their equipment. Realizing the danger, they decided to turn back, but in a space no bigger than a microwave, retreating was nearly impossible. To make matters worse, their oxygen was running low, and there was no way to call for help. They tried to stay together, but the twisting passages kept forcing them apart. Above the surface, time was slipping away. Concern began to grow as Basso and Barbieri failed to return. At first, people assumed the divers were just running late. But as the hours passed, it became clear something was terribly wrong. The alarm was raised, and local authorities were swiftly called in. A rescue mission was quickly organized, but they faced big problems from the start. The biggest obstacle was the cave itself. It posed the same deadly risks to the rescuers as it had to Basso and Barbieri. Perhaps even more so now, with the water filled with stirred-up silt, making visibility close to zero. Philip Lehman, an expert cave diver, led the rescue team. Familiar with El Dudu Lake, he guided the team as they meticulously searched all accessible sections of the lake, but they found no trace of the missing divers. The only area left unchecked was an unexplored, narrow tunnel. Philip was deeply concerned. "The conditions are terrible," he told the other rescuers. "We can barely see anything down there." Despite the risks, the rescue team attempted to enter the tight passage. However, the thick silt clouded their vision, forcing them to feel their way along the rocky walls. Progress was slow and fraught with danger. They searched tirelessly for hours, but there was no sign of Basso and Barbieri. As time dragged on, hope began to fade. They knew that by now, the lost divers' air supply must be running critically low. After a full day of searching, the rescue team faced a difficult decision. They had to pause the search. The water was too clouded with sediment to continue safely. Every time a diver's regulator bubbles touched the ceiling of the tunnel, it caused sediment to fall, and within 5 to 10 seconds, visibility dropped to zero. The team decided to regroup and wait for the water to clear. They planned to make another attempt the following week, this time with 2 cave diving speleologists from Florida. These specialists would be equipped with closed-circuit rebreathers, which don't produce bubbles. This would allow for greater visibility and a higher chance of success. As the days passed, the situation grew increasingly grim. The water in the cave system gradually cleared, allowing the rescue team to venture back in. Despite their determined efforts, they still found no trace of the missing divers. Each day, they pushed further into the tunnel, ensuring that the rescue divers could return safely. The local community rallied around the search efforts, offering their unwavering support. People brought food and drinks for the rescuers, while others kept watch at the lakeshore, hoping for any sign of good news. But as more time slipped away, hope gave way to sorrow. It had been too long. Even if Basso and Barbieri had found an air pocket, survival without food or fresh water for such an extended period was unlikely. The rescue team continued searching for days, clinging to the hope of a miracle. Finally, they discovered Basso's body wedged between 2 rocks. It was clear that he had tried to turn back, but had become trapped. Extracting him was difficult, but they succeeded. However, Barbieri was still missing, and the team had no choice but to venture deeper into the unknown with limited visibility. After hours of painstaking searching, they spotted Barbieri's fins protruding from a tight crevice. He had become trapped and was unable to free himself. With great effort, the rescuers retrieved his body and brought it to the surface. Experts later concluded that Basso and Barbieri had been courageous but overconfident. They hadn't taken all the necessary safety precautions, such as using a guideline to help them navigate back. El Dudu Lake's beauty remains, but the warning sign at its depths now carries even greater significance, a poignant reminder of the dangers that lay beyond.